As soon as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were eliminated, Alyssa Thomas, Connecticut's best player, or Connecticut's most hyped player, went to the podium and started complaining about Caitlin Clark fans.
I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base.
As soon as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were eliminated, Alyssa Thomas, Connecticut's top performer, or perhaps its most talked about player, stepped up to the podium and began voicing her frustrations about Caitlin Clark's supporters. She remarked that, in her entire 11-year career, she had never encountered the kind of racial comments she claimed had come from the Indiana Fever fan base.
Those guys, they're the racists, when really, y'all are the racists.
Alyssa Thomas has just been suspended for what many are calling a brutal, racially charged assault on Caitlin Clark, and the meltdown that came afterward was nothing short of embarrassing. After delivering a disappointing, almost forgettable performance against the Minnesota Lynx in the playoffs, it seems she simply couldn't take the pressure. So, what was her move in the post-game interview? Instead of taking responsibility, she chose to play the racism card out of nowhere, shifting the spotlight entirely onto Clark's fans. She went so far as to accuse them of being racists. And here's the kicker: if you're watching this right now, there's a 99% chance you're a Caitlin Clark supporter, which, according to Alyssa, apparently makes you a racist too. Well, thank you for that insight, Alyssa.
We all know what this really is. It's an attack on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's the wrong face for this league because her...
It's unbelievable how someone can be so blind as to ignore Clark's incredible stats and chalk it all up to nothing more than her skin color. If anything, that attitude alone makes the suspension well-deserved. But here's the real question: do you know exactly what she said that landed her in this mess? Why has the tide turned so quickly against her, and is there even the slightest possibility that the league might forgive her? Let's break down the details and find out.
It's unacceptable, honestly. And there's no place for it. And we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media, and there's no place for it.
The Connecticut Sun just suffered one of the most humiliating playoff exits imaginable, getting handed a brutal smackdown by the Minnesota Lynx in Game 2. After completely falling apart on the court, Alyssa walked into the post-game interview looking like she was already on the verge of snapping. When a reporter finally had the courage to bring up her performance, it was like a switch flipped. Instead of addressing the obvious, her complete no-show in the playoffs, she immediately went on the offensive, accusing Caitlin Clark's fans of being racists. She didn't claim it was just a handful of online trolls or that she'd been struggling with the usual social media hate. No, she went all in, painting Clark's entire fan base as racists who, according to her, are out there destroying the mental well-being of black players.
You know, we come to play basketball for our job and it's fun, but we don't want to go to work every day and have social media blown up over things like that. It's uncalled for, and something needs to be done, whether it's, them checking their fans or this league checking. There's no time for it anymore.
It was almost as if she'd been holding on to this idea, just waiting for the perfect moment to unleash it, hoping someone would bring up her flop of a game so she could completely flip the conversation on its head. You could see it in the reporters' faces. They looked stunned, unsure of how to respond. No one pushed her for specifics, and no one dared to ask for any evidence.
Instagram and Twitter, these are choices we make. There's an easy way. The league doesn't have to get involved. The Indiana Fever don't have to do something to get you away from social media. Put your phone down. Don't download the apps. Don't engage.
They simply let her run with it, shifting the narrative away from her playoff disaster and toward this manufactured controversy. Instead of holding her accountable for that pitiful performance, the focus suddenly became Alyssa Thomas versus Caitlin Clark's fan base. Honestly, it's almost impressive how fast she managed to flip the script, turning herself from the GOAT in the worst possible sense into a self-proclaimed victim of racist fans.
Well, now they found another victim. The fans of Indiana. Now, I'm going to side a little bit with these idiots. I'm going to side a little bit with Alyssa Thomas, who said she is the latest WNBA woke gas bag to rip Indiana Fever fan over alleged racism, demanding the franchise and league do something about it. What do you want them to do?
You can't help but wonder, was this truly just a heat-of-the-moment rant, or was it a calculated move to deflect the wave of criticism coming her way? Alyssa Thomas came out swinging, declaring that in her entire 11-year career, she had never experienced this kind of abuse until this season. And who's she pointing the finger at? None other than the Indiana Fever fan base, the same group that's been riding the Caitlin Clark hype train ever since her jaw-dropping rookie season began.
The Indiana Fever's fan base. The very ones who've been riding the Caitlin Clark hype train ever since her jaw-dropping rookie season kicked off.
But who gives a rat's ass? Seriously.
But here's the kicker. Did she bother to back up her claims with, I don't know, even a single shred of evidence? Nope, not a chance. No examples, no specific incidents, not even a vague tweet to point to. Instead, she went with a sweeping accusation, essentially implying that the entire Fever fan base is out to destroy her mental peace, all because, apparently, Caitlin Clark's mere presence in the league is just that toxic. Nice try, Alyssa.
Kind of abuse until this season. And guess who she's pointing fingers at? The Indiana Fever's fan base. The very ones who've been riding the Caitlin Clark hype train ever since her jaw-dropping rookie season kicked off.
But who gives a rat's ass? Seriously.
But here's the kicker. Did she bother backing up her claims with, I don't know, a single shred of evidence? Nope, not a chance. No examples, no incidents, not even a vague tweet to lean on. Instead, she went with a blanket accusation, pretty much implying that the entire Fever fan base is out to ruin her mental peace because, apparently, Caitlin Clark's mere presence in the league is just that toxic. Nice try, Alyssa.
Caitlin Clark is Kunta Clark. She's the actual slave that everybody else is exploiting for their benefit. Angel Reese included at the top of that list. Now Alyssa Thomas jumps in and says, let me get my...
But let's talk about the timing. Hear why DRO these bombshells right. After getting crushed in a high-stakes playoff game, it couldn't be more obvious. She was desperate to change the narrative she knew the media would be ready to pick her apart for that dismal performance, probably waiting to grill her on why she folded when her team needed her most, or why she let herself get completely outplayed on the biggest stage of the season. So instead of facing the music, she pulls out the ultimate misdirection play, flip the blame onto Caitlin Clark's fans and hope everyone forgets she even stepped foot on the court that night. But here's where things get really shady. Thomas wasn't just taking aim at Clark's supporters. By calling out Clark's fan base, she was subtly framing Clark herself as the root of the problem. Think about it, if Clark's influence is supposedly stirring up all this negativity, then Thomas is, whether intentionally or not, painting Clark as some sort of villain in this entire mess.
What these women have done.
Game 1 poked Caitlin Clark in the eye intentionally, in my view, and in most rational people's view. Your hands don't curl up, you jab people in the eye and you pull your hand back immediately after you've accomplished your goal. Nothing happens to Dejanay Carrington. This isn't really even discussed. She gets questioned about it once. Caitlin Clark gets questioned about it. Caitlin Clark takes the high road. She's not engaging. Hats off to Caitlin Clark.
It's a subtle, almost sneaky way to tarnish Clark's image without ever directly dragging her name through the mud. And let's not forget, this isn't the first time these two have butted heads. There was already bad blood brewing from a previous incident that thrust them both into the center of controversy. Flashback to August 14, 2024, during a heated matchup between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun, when Alyssa Thomas delivered what could only be described as the hardest screen known to mankind on Caitlin Clark. And we're not talking about your typical, run-of-the-mill basketball screen here. Clark, famous for zipping around the court like a bolt of lightning, was completely blindsided and went down like a ton of bricks. The impact was so vicious that fans watching live literally gasped, thinking she might have snapped an ankle or suffered a serious injury. It was that bad. And what did the refs do? They called an offensive foul on Thomas, and then brushed it off like it was nothing. No review, no flagrant foul discussion, nothing.
It's leaned into people directing their hatred of Caitlin Clark at Caitlin Clark fans.
Even some WNBA analysts chimed in, including Diana Taurasi, who didn't mince words about how badly the whole situation was handled. She flat out said Thomas should have been ejected for a play that reckless. But did Clark herself make a big deal about it? Not at all. She popped right back up, flashed that trademark grin, and even tossed a playful wink to the crowd as if to say, "I'm fine, and I'm not letting this get to me." Classic Caitlin move. While everyone else was losing their minds over the lack of officiating, she remained calm, composed, and completely unfazed. It was a powerful moment, one that only made her fans love her even more.
Classic Caitlin move. While everyone else was busy losing their minds over the lack of officiating, she stayed calm, collected, and unbothered. It was a powerful moment, one that just made her fans love her even more.
And it comes as a byproduct of, Caitlin, I love you to death. But girl, if you don't work on that defense, you ain't winning no championships.
That's when things really started to spiral out of control for Alyssa. Clark's fans were furious, and they made sure she felt the heat online. Adding fuel to the fire, she released a statement at the same time, saying,
"Because it's Caitlin Clark and she can't do that game."
And instead of owning up to a play that could have easily injured one of the league's brightest young stars, she did the complete opposite. She began painting herself as the victim, insisting that the backlash was all about race rather than the fact she nearly took out a rookie phenom. It was pure deflection, and anyone paying attention could see right through it. Fans were upset because she played dirty, plain and simple. Race had nothing to do with it. She even went so far as to bring the NBA into the conversation, pointing to other players as part of her justification.
The backlash was all about race, and not about her nearly taking out a rookie phenom. It was a total deflection, and anyone who was paying attention could see right through it. The fans were mad because she played dirty, simple as that. Race had nothing to do with it.
She had to go to the NBA because of players.
But Alyssa had no interest in explaining herself, not one bit. Instead, she doubled down, tossing out accusations and pointing fingers, clearly hoping to stir up enough chaos that people would stop focusing on why she was under fire in the first place. And for a moment, it almost worked. She successfully dragged Caitlin Clark's name into the controversy, framing the backlash as some sort of coordinated attack by Clark's so-called racist fans. But let's be honest, it was nothing more than a smokescreen. Strip it down to the basics, and this entire mess began because Alyssa refused to take responsibility for her reckless play and her terrible performance. So, she chose to weaponize controversy as a shield against criticism.
Making money off Caitlin Clark. She gets gouged in the eye by a player who clearly hates her. We've seen the previous behavior this season. We've seen her tweets. Clearly hates her. WNBA, there's no statement being made. Hey, we got to be more careful. We got these ladies with these long fingernails. We can't have this happen. We investigated this. We don't think it's intentional. We do think it's intentional. None of that happened. It's an actual joke that it did happen. Something that the players can joke and laugh about and mock later.
What's even crazier is that by taking this route, she's only managed to make things worse for herself. Instead of simply facing the fallout from one bad game, she's managed to turn it into a full-blown scandal. She thought she could dodge one controversy by creating another, but all she's really done is dig herself into an even deeper hole. And it wasn't just the fans raising hell, sports analysts and commentators from every corner of the internet jumped in as well. Former WNBA legends like Lisa Leslie and Cheryl Miller didn't hold back, calling Thomas's hit unsportsmanlike and downright dangerous.
Caitlin Clark came in as the most impactful player that the WNBA was seeing as a rookie based off of what we saw in college, from both off and on the court, whether it was attendance, viewership, to her on the court with the scoring and assists. That's how she was when she was drafted. She exits her rookie season as exactly that.
On ESPN's The Jump, the panel broke down the play frame by frame, with Rachel Nichols throwing some serious shade, saying, "You don't set a screen like that unless you're either making a statement or trying to injure someone." By the next day, every major sports show was all over it. Analysts on Around the Horn, pardon the interruption, and just about every other hot take program you can name were debating whether Thomas should have been ejected or outright suspended. And as if things couldn't get any messier, Angel Reese decided to jump into the fray, because why not toss a little more fuel on the fire? Reese, never one to shy away from drama, took to social media and her own podcast to defend Thomas while going after Clark's fan base.
Shades thinking she's some model. This one here, it's uncalled for. Let me tell you something else. It's very simple to do. See this phone? Don't go on social media.
She brought back her own list of grievances against Clark's supporters, repeating the same tired claims that Clark's fans were inherently biased and always targeting black players. But in the end, the controversy surrounding Thomas's foul morphed into something far bigger, something neither she nor Reese could control. What began as a questionable screen in a regular season game spiraled into a full-blown scandal that has now put them both in the hot seat. In trying to sidestep one mess, they managed to create an even bigger one, and now, the spotlight is squarely on them, not on Clark's fan base.